We're the Screen Team. I'm being joined by Jamie. We've got a review for you from the powerhouse of Netflix. If you go to Netflix, you can find... Yeah, they're a powerhouse, baby.
They are,
That's
yeah.
right, man. You can find all kinds of things, kids shows. You can find documentaries. You can also find movies that they make and produce and they buy from other studios. It's a crazy, crazy world we live in, but Netflix is a thing now, and they've got a movie. It's called A Futile and Stupid Gesture. And it's a crazy name for sure, but the movie is actually really, really good. If you're into National Lampoon's movies or the magazine or the radio show back from the 1970s, this movie basically kind of hits on the co-creator Douglas Kenney. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Jamie, let's talk about it. National Lampoon's. Were you into the magazine and the whole trademark back in the 70s?
Well, I was a kid, but I remember
come on, man! You didn't tell me you were going to the store buying some of their magazines.
Well, when the first issue came out, I was barely born. So yeah, I don't think I was buying comic books, but which they had comics in National Lampoon, but yeah. And they actually had some like high profile comic artists that worked for them occasionally, you know.
Sure.
Frank Frazetta and Neil Adams and people like that. The icons, you know. But I was aware of the magazine, and my parents bought it from time to time, and most of the humor was probably a little above my level being a kid, but I remember some of the silly stuff and boobies, you know, kind of thing.
Yeah,
you know how kids are, and and then like I was telling you on the break, we had this T-shirt transfer package that they had put out with all these crazy pictures and stuff. Some of them were the covers, and some were like little slogans that were kind of from the time, you know. So I mean, yeah, it was a real institution because once it got rolling, like you see in the movie, I mean, it was everywhere.
Yeah.
You know. So
did you like the movie?
I did. You know, I wasn't aware of it much before you had mentioned it. I mean, I was aware of National Lampoon, of course, because like I said, it's been an institution for decades, and I was aware of Doug Kenney, the co-creator, who the movie's basically about. You know, yeah. Will Forte portrays him in the film, and you know, I get the feeling that he probably got really close to his characterization or the way Doug really acted in real life from watching others. I watched the documentary too that's about National Lampoon, and the way that they describe him, it kind of fits right in with the way it was portrayed in the movie.
He seemed like the king of the one-liners. No matter what the situation was, whether it was a positive situation, whether it was a negative situation, yeah, his character or that person in real life would come with a sarcastic one-liner,
something like that. Yeah. Blah, blah, blah. You know, so, you know? Yeah. So
I saw like maybe little bits and pieces of a trailer. I had no idea this movie was based on that particular character. All I saw was, you know, young versions of Bill Murray and John Belushi and Gilda Radner. I was like, oh, this must be about like the early days of SNL. Let's watch this, Jamie. So I was kind of surprised and taken aback when it was about in the very beginning it was about the two co-creators of the magazine, and I found their story to be very, very interesting. I thought the movie started a little bit slow, but once it picked up, once it got into the magazine years, I thought it just kept going. Let's talk about Will Forte. We liked you said you liked his performance.
Yeah.
What I liked about this film was the creativity of the writers, but also the way they presented a lot of the information. Like, there's a scene where you see Doug Kenney's character. He's cheating on his wife, and you kind of know how the situation is going to be resolved, but you don't see it visually, or you don't see it acted out in the movie style. You see you see it as a cartoon, as a cartoon that would be shown on one of their magazines. I thought that was so creative.
What were those called in the magazine? Picto something. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
It's like the black and white pictures, and he's like, "Oh no!"
You've caught us.
But it was the thing that they used in National Lampoon. This thing that Doug had come up with. It's just usually was like a 1 or 2 page gag with about 6 or 8 panels of photographs, and a lot of times the people that worked at National Lampoon were in the photographs when they did these picture funnies or whatever they call them.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of a neat way to bring that across, because in reality, it probably there's some things that probably took 2 or 3 months to play out, and then they did it in this little animated style. It was kind of interesting, So
there was so many times where I was just laughing. I thought the creativity of how the movie made fun of itself, I thought was spectacular. I liked there was a scene where they're like, okay, we hired this guy for National Lampoons, and this guy, and this girl, and this and that. We've also hired these other 10 people, but we only have time for these four.
For these 4, and we realize these actors don't look a lot like the people they're portraying.
Yeah,
but I really thought John Daly did a good job as Bill Murray.
Yeah,
because he did the loud singing,
Yeah,
and I really like Joel McHale as Chevy Chase.
Yeah,
he kind of embodied Chevy from back then.
And it's kind of ironic because they worked together on Community. Was that the TV show?
Community,
yeah. A lot of surprises in this film. Another surprise for me was I can't even think of the character's name, but the actor who plays his partner in the film.
Oh, Henry Beard
was played by Domhnall Gleeson.
Yeah.